Hey everybody! Hang on one second. I have to mute that. Otherwise I'm going to hear myself every 30 seconds speaking to myself, and I can only do that once in my head and not in my ears. So, welcome to the official Idle Champion stream. We are coming to you live from the Codename Entertainment streaming closet in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. First off, I'm going to stop rotating around. We want to thank our D&D team for being the best partners ever to work with and for graciously allowing us time on their channel every week. It's a pretty cool channel filled with pretty cool shows, and the audience is pretty cool too, so be nice today. We're proud to be a part of the D&D community, and we're glad you're along for the ride with us. For today's show, for my first inaugural stream, since Dylan isn't here, as you'll notice, he's not here. He's off getting married and getting supplies and doing all the things you do on a 2-week vacation where you have to work every day. We're going to be talking with Trent Oster, the CEO of Beamdog, a company that just celebrated its 9th birthday earlier this week, and another one of our friends in the D&D ecosphere. Trent was one of the masterminds behind the origins of our newest champion, Deacon, which you've all been playing for the past week, hopefully. If not, you know, Deacon, you should get him. He's cool. And we're excited to talk to him about our little kobold. As a reminder, as usual, we're going to be doing some giveaways today, and the first will come along shortly. Erica's going to be running those in the background. Hey, Erica, thanks for the help. For those of you that don't know, here's the drill. First, a raffle will be opened by Erica on the Codename Entertainment account. Once the raffle's open, all you have to do is type in !raffle to enter, and your name will be automatically included in the draw. Once the draw ends and the winner's announced, Erica will reach out to the winner with details on how to receive your prize. In order to participate in the draw, you will need to... In order to participate in each draw, you will need to sign up again. And now, on with the show. Let's see if I can do it. Hey, there he is. Let me unmute you now. Hang on a second. All right, with us again, we have Trent Oster, CEO of Beamdog. He's coming to us from the lovely town of Edmonton.
Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
Is there still snow up there?
No, actually, it was actually pretty sunny today. It was, I think it was 27 degrees Celsius so far today.
That's a number that I haven't learned to convert yet.
Yeah. Pleasant. That is the word for it.
Okay, I'll take it. So yeah, thanks for joining us. Really excited to have you here. Obviously, Deacon was one of the characters that was created for Neverwinter Nights, which was originally a BioWare title, correct?
That is correct. Yeah, Deacon came along in Shadows of Undertide and then started in XP2, as we called it, Hordes of the Underdark, which was a lot of fun.
And what was was that in the late 90s or the early 2000s?
That would have been, Hordes would have been like 2004-ish.
Oh wow, okay. Yeah, I remember playing through it. I remember snippets, but many of the snippets I remember are Deacon, of course, because it's hard to forget.
He was a fun, he was kind of like a comedic relief character, but at the same time he was an interesting example of a monster as an NPC character in the party. And he's kind of a cool little guy, and he's got an interesting little backstory, and he always talks about himself in the third person, and he kind of views the world as if he's kind of in his novel and he's writing it, and he views everybody around him as other characters in his novel. So it's an interesting way you interact with him and how he speaks, because he always talks about himself in the third person.
Yeah, one of the great things that Lee sent over when we started talking to you guys about, you know, your expertise with Deacon was a list of all of his quotes. And it was amazing because walking through the 3 pages of quotes, some of them were definitely memorable, and I remember them from my play. I remember them verbatim. And the others, I just must not have gotten them on the random roll. But reading through the document, it was like, okay, now I understand Deacon. I've got it.
Yeah. It's one of those things, without the background, he's hard to kind of put into a box and figure out exactly what he's about. But I mean, his big goal is to write his great work, his great novel, and have everybody love it. And he's got a line in there where he's talking about how he worked on his book and he sent it in, but his editor kept sending it back and saying, make it epic, make it more epic. And that was actually Dave Gator mocking me, because during the design on XP2, we had been working on XP1, and then the Shadows of Undertide. We finished that, got it out the door, and then we rolled back to our work on Hordes of the Underdark. And I read through the story, and I just wasn't quite happy with how, because it was epic levels. I wanted it to really kind of push the epicness of the story. So I said, this isn't epic enough. I want it epic, 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 epic. So Deacon has exactly that written into one of his lines of dialogue, where it's like, yeah, I sent it to him. He said, I want it more epic. Make it more epic, epic, epic. And I'm like, oh, Dave, why do you do this to me?
I love that you are the inspiration for some of Deacon's quotes. That's awesome.
Yep, I am kind of the villain in Deacon's quotes.
It's funny because I had such a treasure trove of quotes that I ended up mining most of them for the flavor text on all of his equipment cards.
Nice.
Yeah, as you know, we have 4 different levels of rarity, and so I had kind of an idea of where we'd go with each one, and it was just cherry picking the lines, highlighting them, and I tweaked a couple just because of space. Yep. But we tried to stay true to the original intent, and hopefully that came across. I think fans are so far really excited about Deacon and are playing him, except I'm not playing him in the current run because he's not lawful. So I'm going to end this, and we'll start a Deacon Adventure.
A Deacon he was a ton of fun to have in Hordes of the Underdark, because he really kind of started going off in a new direction and having a lot of fun with it. So he was definitely a crazy little guy.
That's awesome. Yeah, we're maybe I'll do a free play run. Everything else is deadly. We're really excited to have him. We love the quirky, humorous characters because they work so well with dialogue.
Yes.
Often in our dialogue, Brunor is sort of the comedic relief along with Jarlaxle. So it's always good to have a few more characters you can throw in there to just be the narrative hook for what are we doing here again? Like, seriously, seagulls again? What's happening?
Deacon definitely played that part. He played kind of, I like my fantasy pretty straight, pretty serious, but a little bit of comic relief now and again just kind of breaks the tension. It really helps with the pacing.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think a lot of my entertainment choices recently, ever since, I don't know, a couple of years ago, maybe since becoming a dad, I definitely need humor in my entertainment. It can be the most end-of-the-world, post-apocalyptic, whatever. If you've got that one character that just quips and has fun with it, I can handle it. But if there's no humor there, then you're going to be hard-pressed to get me not to veto it halfway through.
I had a bunch of friends who were talking about Thor Ragnarok, and they were split down the middle. Half of them loved it, half of them hated it. So when everybody else in my house was asleep, I watched it, and I loved it. I loved it. It was just a straight up kind of lighthearted take on everything, and it was great.
Oh yeah, me. It was so good. It's one of my favorite Marvel movies. Like that, Guardians, Ant-Man. Like those are my bread and butter of Marvel movies. Like you'll hit the Avengers, Infinity War, and you're like, oh great, I just feel kind of awful after watching that. But you know, when you can go back to the Rock guy that got thwarted by paper by not printing up enough flyers, I mean that is just gold.
It was gold. He's probably my favorite character in that.
So you know, we've talked a little bit about the origins of Deacon and sort of where he came along, but tell me more about Beamdog. Beamdog has put out enhanced editions of so many of the classic games that we all played. What's going on with Beamdog? What's recent? What's new? What do you got?
So biggest things we've done recently, we just started shipping the 2.5 patches for Baldur's Gate 2, Siege of Dragonspear, and then we're going to circle back and do another patch update on Icewind Dale as well. Mm-hmm. So 2.5 fixes about 400 bugs, plus adds about 100 new features. So
nice.
It's a pretty big pass, especially like Baldur's Gate 1, it's been out for 5 years, and we're still patching it, still making it better.
That's awesome.
It's kind of awesome. And the fans appreciate it. When they find an issue, they tell us about it, and we dig in, try to find it, try to fix it. Yesterday, we shipped a new update for Neverwinter Nights Enhanced Edition. So we found a couple issues, and we've been fighting these. We've had some bugs on the Intel integrated chipsets. Their OpenGL drivers are a little shaky now and again. So we found a couple scenarios where by making some key changes, we could reduce the number of issues people were having. So we're rolling that out. We actually rolled the patch out yesterday. So that update went out. And then Darkness Over Daggerford has been out for a little while now. I was in collaboration with Ossian Studios. It's doing very well. We're really happy about that. It's a great story. I mean, Ossian, working with Atari, had built this expansion pack for Neverwinter Nights, and then Atari canceled it before it was finished. And Ossian was kind of heartbroken, so they negotiated a way to release it, but they never completely did all the things that they wanted to do. And they released it for free. So then years later, Alan and I hooked back together, and we're like, Alan, let's do this. So put some extra effort in, recorded some VO, improved it, finished it up, polished it to a spot where he's really happy, and we were able to do a re-release on it. So that was exciting.
That's awesome. So coming back to these sort of cult fan favorites that you worked on so closely over the years, what's it like kind of jumping back into the pot and being able to say, all right, Blue Sky, we're here. What are we going to do?
That's funny because you come back and your first reaction is you remember all the baggage, all the things that you wanted to do and just never were able to do. And you're like, okay, let's go back over those questions. Why couldn't we do this again? Why not this? Why not this one? Okay, I remember now. And you start looking at it and looking at kind of the opportunities and the potential. And then you realize that what you want doesn't matter that much. And you start looking at the community and talking to them and listening to what people are actually asking for, and kind of looking at what you want versus what the community wants, and trying to find that kind of synchronization of where you can do the best work that essentially enables the community as much as possible. That's really what we're kind of focusing on with Neverwinter. We've announced we're bringing it to Android. We'll also be bringing it to iOS afterwards. We've got to do a 64-bit conversion so it can run on iOS. It's taking a 32-bit game and making it 64-bit is a lot of pain. There's a lot of pain. So many things break. It's just shocking. You
don't just flip a switch and just magically it works?
Make 64-bit. If you had done it 100% correct, that's how it should work. But every game that's ever been developed, there's always somebody who's like, oh, we'll just cast this from we'll just, instead of an int, we use a long int. Oh, instead of declaring an int, we'll make this one a double. And what happens is the int gets hard declared as a 32-bit number, and then when you try to update it to a 64-bit, it doesn't have the data there. So you've got to build essentially a conversion. And we have to do that on load of all these assets. It's pretty deep, pretty hardcore. But one of our best guys is on it, and he is slowly grinding his way through it. The good thing is he shaves his head so we can't see him turning gray.
Nice. So it's not a bald cat, it's actually shaved head?
Yeah, he actually shaves his head. He doesn't get the slosh feeling of the bald cat.
I've heard that story like so many times from so many people, and every time I just cringe. I don't know why I brought it up.
Yeah, it's horrible, man.
But it looked so good. The first day I thought you actually went method for it and shaved it down. But I know you went through a lot of work. I saw the in-progress pictures in the room, but it looked so good I thought it was real. She
would spend 2 hours, so she would kind of glue the bald cap down, and then she painted it red so that when she put the flesh color over top, you kind of got that subsurface scattering of the look of blood vessels underneath it. And then she would flick some stubble and everything onto it to make it match kind of the rest, and it was just amazing amount of work. Huge respect for the makeup artists. And for anyone who's ever had to wear a bald cap, I totally have a new level of respect for you.
In the middle of LA in the summer.
Yeah. So there was definitely times where I chose not to go outside in the sun and just instead hide in an air-conditioned room.
So for those that aren't aware, as we talk about side things that we know, Trent dressed as the lovable Minsk for the Stream of Many Eyes, and for 3 days in the middle of the hot LA sun was padded up in like 80 pounds of armor and a bald cap that took hours to take off and on.
Yeah, and it was a legitimate full suit of scale leather armor. It was heavy, but I really liked it.
I mean, if we're going to throw heavy armor on someone, I think you're the only person in the office that might be able to weather that for a day.
It was, by the end of the day, my legs were a little tired. I'm like, I guess I've been carrying around and it had a lot of extra weight here.
Have you found a mannequin to fit the armor yet?
I found a potential mannequin, but I have not been able to buy it yet.
Canadian
For some
shipping.
reason, yep, shipping to Canada is always a problem.
Really
Especially with a big mannequin.
Don't worry, it's just a coffin-sized box. It's fine.
Exactly. A coffin box shows up and you stand the mannequin up.
So one of our users is asking if you have any pictures of your Minsk cosplay. Would we point people to your Twitter profile?
Yeah, and there should be a couple of them on Twitter. I'm actually really horrible at taking pictures of myself. I'm great at taking pictures of other things.
Well, you don't carry a selfie stick in your back pocket all the time?
Sadly, no. The whole concept of selfie really kind of bothers me. It's like, you know what? I'm too busy doing the awesome to take pictures of the awesome, so I'm just going to do my thing and have fun with that. But if you search Stream of Many Eyes Minsk, you should be able to find some pictures, and it was a pretty awesome costume.
So the makeup person that you had, was that someone based in LA, or did you bring someone from the office that was just really good?
No, we actually hooked up with a team that was based in LA. Red Dodge, she's the department head of makeup at Funico, and her and Gabby Grave came in, and Gabby did my bald cap, and Red was doing Phil's Rasad costume tattoos.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Huge respect for that. I mean, we sent down, here's 3 rough pictures of what Rasad's tattoos will look like, and all 3 don't agree. So you're just gonna have to make something up that kind of fits the whole theme. What's important is the face tattoo, and he's got the stars of Selûne on his shoulder. So those are key parts. We got to keep those. Everything else is open for interpretation.
Sounds similar to the marching orders I gave Alexis, our senior artist, when she had to translate Deacon into 5th edition. Because you guys were kind enough to send the turnaround graphics in 3D of Deacon, and the poly count is obviously much lower. And you know, he's a normal 2nd edition, 3rd edition kobold, very lizard-like, and not a lot of clothing detail, which is super important for our game with all of our equipment. And then it was that compared to the 5e kobold, and it was like 2 different monsters. So I was like, yeah, make it look like this, but also make sure it's recognizable as this. And then
Make
I just
it
slowly
5th
walked away.
ed, but pay some homage to 3rd ed Deacon. Yeah.
Well, I think one of the best parts about it is because of the grayscale and because of the shading or the coloring that she did, he looks even more like a puppy than the normal snout face of the 5e kobold, and I think it makes him look even cuter and more easier to resonate.
That's awesome.
Oh, we've got a question from one of your users. Will there be any new Neverwinter Nights content coming out?
That is a brilliant question. And you know what? We have conversations about that every day. We haven't announced anything publicly, but it's something we're definitely interested in.
Awesome. So, Deacon was he in the base Neverwinter Nights, or was he introduced in the expansions?
He came along in the expansions, yeah.
So, for players that want to go play Deacon, play through Neverwinter Nights, access the expansions, have fun.
Yeah, you can start directly into Shadows of Undertide. Just you create your character, and you'll auto level up as you start it. So you can jump in right in Shadows and then play through that, and then jump into Hordes after that.
That's awesome. We had our community Q&A on Reddit yesterday, and one of the users mentioned that playing Idle Champions was their first sort of dip into the D&D world. You know how we all have that, and then we never get out of it. And from there, he was introduced to Deacon right away, so we went to go get Neverwinter Nights, and Deacon was one of the first characters he ran into, and he was so excited. So now he's running around with Deacon and having a ton of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's one of those things like it's one of the best things in the world about the internet is these vectors of discovery. You discover something that kind of catches your interest, and then it leads you over here and leads you there, and suddenly you just it's like finding these hidden caverns filled with this amazing stuff that you think is awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. So, let's see. What do we got? We got some more questions. Eric, our CEO, says, "Oh, you fixed so many bugs, but did it add new bugs?"
Yeah, my business partner Cam actually has a theory. His theory is the ratio is 3 of 5. For every 5 bugs fixed, you will create 3 new ones.
You're still making progress, Trent. You're still getting there.
Still slowly marching her forward. So that's basically net 2 bugs fixed for every 5 that you fix. 3 new ones created. So then you fix those 3, thereby creating 1.5 new ones, and you just keep stomping it forward.
So what's it like for your team going from so many bug and feature updates on so many different games? Do you have different groups working in different segments, or do you all focus on one area and then move on to the next?
We have a pretty diverse group right now. We're up to 43 full-time people. And the Infinity side, there's a team over there that handles just Infinity Engine stuff, and they actually own most of the platforms. On that team, there's one person who kind of focuses on tablets and one person who kind of focuses on PC. And, well, we call it PC, but we really mean Mac, Linux, and Windows. Mm-hmm. And then as well on the Neverwinter side, we kind of have the core Neverwinter team, and then we've also got a second team that is doing the mobile work.
Cool. So for those that haven't seen it, just so you know, we do have our weekly streaming code on the stream. It is Doom is Coming code, and that will unlock a free gold Deacon chest.
That's awesome.
So yeah, get some more Deacon gear.
And you can get Deacon's Doom song.
Deacon's Doom song. I haven't leveled them up long enough or high enough to get the ultimate yet. I'm playing through a free play of the Party Crashers. So getting the formation set up, which is funny because I set up the formation, and every event has a different formation for the characters. And someone commented that this isn't a formation; it's a car crash, which was quite funny.
It's a little harsh.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. It's normally the formations that Justin puts together. It's like, here's a triangle, and you've got this row. No, this one's just like one over here, a couple up here, 2, 3 down there. It is kind of hodgepodge, but I like the changes in the formation because it's easy to get into, especially because each campaign has a specific formation. And so on events, that's where we really get to go crazy, because when you're playing through Tomb of Annihilation or Grand Tour, it's the same formation every time. So the new event champions and whatever variant influences that come up can change the way you want to set up your formation, but it's normally what you're used to, so it's easy to slot everyone in. Nice. With these new event formations, where it's easy to throw curveballs, which is a ton of fun.
Yeah, it's always fun to kind of mix the familiar with the new and see how people adapt to it.
Yeah, definitely. And with our content schedule, we're constantly tweaking things around and throwing things out there. So
yeah, you guys have a tight, quick turnaround.
We do. You
got to be always dropping new. Whereas with us, we're always fix the bug. Oh my God, is the new content's not done yet. No, not done yet. No, not done yet.
But then you get here's 100 new features, which is awesome.
Yeah. And
we're like, yeah, that update will come soon when we get to it.
We say the same thing. Soon. The answer to everything is soon. Is that soon or long soon?
Yeah, when we get to it.
Soonish.
But yeah, we've got a very, very tight timeline, and as someone who's coming in new to the company, that's sort of in charge of making sure that we hit those dates and that we're not overloading people. It has been an interesting challenge. You know, that Gantt chart I threw together was just, when I finally laid it out, I was like, all right, we got some work here.
The problem is everybody is an optimist. Everybody looks at it and they're like, oh yeah, okay, I can do that. I got to do this, and this. And they don't know half of the work that's kind of hidden away. And when they start implementing something, the other half of the work shows up. And you're like, oh gosh. And then when everybody's done, you got to go back, because every time anybody writes code or adds data or anything, they create bugs. And you got to find the bugs and fix them. So yeah, it always takes way longer than you think it will.
Well, we've got an added wrinkle with the new schedule in that we have to. I'm sure you know this with Apple builds. You need to submit the build and wait for the approval. And
oh yeah,
it's been a fun delay. Apple's a wonderful partner to work with, but getting the schedule set up so we can launch a day and date on all our platforms has been a challenge.
Well, and it's never a constant. Sometimes it's 3 days, sometimes it's 7. I've had it be 3 weeks before.
Oh my goodness!
It's just, we actually had a build get lost on us once. It got lost, and we submitted it just before Christmas, and it actually didn't show up until February.
Oh my goodness!
Somehow it got flagged incorrectly, and the build got buried.
Man, we had a 2-day delay a couple of days ago between release and proliferation. We thought that was bad. Goodness.
It can be much worse. Much worse.
Are you listening, everyone? It's going to be okay.
Yeah. You guys are golden.
We're
2 days.
fine.
Nothing.
So there's a couple of new questions. Is Beamdog focused on its conversion/updates, or is there new D&D series being thought about?
The answer is yes.
Good answer. Good answer.
We do both. we really want to make sure the stuff we're working on is in a good place and we're really happy with it. And I'm still really excited by the Neverwinter Nights concept. So I love the idea of the whole democratization of game design and the tool set and this kind of ability to run your own micro MMO, so you can get in there and set up a game world that just you and your friends can play on, and then you can jump in with a live DM client and DM it. So I really want to take that and continue pushing that forward. And some of the features that have come across my desk lately have just been mind-blowing in terms of their potential. So I'm pretty jazzed about that. So I definitely want to continue to invest in what we're doing there. But that said, I mean, I figure I've got a couple games left in me, and I want to do something big, something fun in D&D. And we definitely have built up a pretty strong team now. I'm pretty happy with where we are, especially on the technology programming side. We've got a lot of strong, skilled people, and we're just continuously building experience. So the next thing we do should be pretty awesome.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to whatever you guys put out. So on Neverwinter Nights, do you have information, or do you even want to share information? How many players are using the mod tools on Neverwinter Nights to create those campaigns?
We don't have hard information. Basically, we can just go through and check the authors. But what we've found is that there's basically like a little sub-community of kind of dominant creators of each type, like tile sets. It's Hercules and a couple others. For scripting, there's a couple people who do a lot of the heavy lifting. And Bernard, who's actually our tech lead on the project, he also runs the Neverwinter Vault, and he has for quite a while now. So he's kind of involved in both sides. He's kind of helping to direct where we're going with it, and at the same time he's completely enmeshed in all the user created content. It's just a crazy community of amazing people who are doing just top quality stuff. Like every time we add a new feature, we turn back, we see what they've done with it, we're just blown away.
Yeah, it's awesome when you have a community that supports your projects, that wants to help introduce the game to new players, to help them over the hurdles. One of the greatest things about working on this game is just watching the chat and seeing people pop in and be like, hey, I'm completely new, and what do I do here? What's going on? And it's great to see people jump in and not troll each other and just have really good conversations.
What blows my mind is I'm still jumping into Neverwinter games and finding complete new gameplay ideas that I've never seen before. There was one which was a massive player versus player war. So it was two sides. People would jump in. There was like NPC monsters on one side fighting NPC monsters on the other, and you would jump in. There were DMs kind of live controlling what was happening and continuing to kind of tweak the balance in real time. And it was just insane. And I'm like, oh my god, this is like hours of chaos here. It's awesome.
That's great. How many players were actively playing in that?
That one got up, I think at one point, like We said the player limit was 64, but it's actually in code it was set at 96, so you could actually push up to 96 players. On that one, I think we got up around 90 players. Started to chug out a little bit. I think it would have liked a little more hardware on it, but it was pretty impressive. The screen was just covered with crazy spell effect overload because everybody was dropping big spells and using powerful items, and it was awesome.
So a couple more questions. Let's see. When you say micro MMO, do you mean software as a service or player local servers that are shareable?
Player local servers that are shareable. So Neverwinter Nights, you can actually, the only difference between a single player game and a multiplayer game is a single player game doesn't listen for other people to join. So even when you're playing single player on your computer, you're running a client and a server. They just happen to be talking to each other directly through a shortcut, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So all the rules and everything happen on the server, and all the displays and everything is client side. So you can as well launch a standalone server which doesn't even have a graphical client. So we just run the rules, so it's actually much lighter weight than the client.
Mm-hmm.
It has to load less data, and it's able to run your adventures much easier. So you can create your own adventure, upload a dedicated server, and then just tell your friends the password, and they can jump in and join it. Up to 96 of them.
That's awesome.
It's crazy because it's allowed people to do these MMOs that aren't commercially viable for a big company to chase.
Mm-hmm.
And then as well, we have a portal system that allows you to connect multiples together. So you can jump from one server that's running over to another server. And sometimes it's been used just crazy where there's multiple linkages of servers. And then people have built instances now where you go and you jump in and you go off in an instance of a dungeon. So it's just you and your friends adventuring, and then you can jump back to another world. It's crazy. It's crazy, the potential, man.
So what's your favorite Beamdog game that you've put an enhanced edition out for? Let me clarify that question. What was your favorite from BioWare, and what is your favorite from Beamdog, if those have changed?
Honestly, my favorite Beamdog or BioWare game was probably Baldur's Gate 2.
Okay. Any particular reason, or is it just
Neverwinter just had too much of me in it, and I spent so much time in the development on it that I couldn't enjoy it because I had made every decision that was in that game. Whereas Baldur's Gate 2, it was really kind of a masterclass. Mm-hmm. It was a team who had learned how to do it the first time around and who were now really polishing their craft and showing off what they could do. And the story and the density of amazing story events and locations in that game is just awesome. For Beamdog, that is a good one. I'd probably have to say Icewind Dale on tablet. I really had a hoot playing through it. It was just, I was able to jump in and have a good, fun, easygoing adventure. And I'm sure Neverwinter is going to take its place once we start shipping some new content stuff. But for right now, Icewind Dale, I love it.
Do you think that it was the ease of being able to play it wherever you wanted, or was it just you and the tablet and just not any distractions?
I think it was me and the tablet and no distractions. And it's just a really nicely polished implementation. Although I think that might change as well, because I've seen some stuff in here in the office that we haven't talked about yet that it's pretty cool.
Well, knowing some of the behind the scenes stuff, I'm really excited about the stuff you guys are putting out. I can't wait to see what the next thing is. But yeah, it's always a pleasure to chat with you, because Beamdog does such great stuff, and I love the team that you put together. I love the work that you guys are doing to to take these games that we all loved and make them better for a modern audience. I think it's great.
That was always kind of one of our goals was, okay, what's the ultimate version of Baldur's Gate? Well, the original Baldur's Gate doesn't run so well on modern PCs. It has problems, never really ported to Mac properly. So just being able to go in there and make the code work properly And then as well, because we were there for the development, knowing the intent and knowing kind of where they were stopped by technical features, and we could unlock some of those technical hurdles, it's just awesome. Being able to do that with Neverwinter is, I don't have to ask anybody, what were we thinking about this? Because I remember I was thinking this, and we couldn't do it because of this piece of tech, but now that's totally gone away. So
that was impossible. Now I can do that on my Chromebook.
Exactly. This is the world we live in today.
That's not a bad thing sometimes.
Not at all.
So which D&D based Beamdog game should someone try if it's sorry, tough to read questions. Which D&D based Beamdog game should someone try first if they've never played any before?
If you've never played D&D before, it depends. If you're more interested in almost like an adventure game like experience, I would throw Planescape Torment Enhanced Edition. If you're looking for a little more hack and slash, I would throw Neverwinter Nights.
Okay.
Because Neverwinter Nights, you're just controlling one character, and then you're able to kind of hire henchmen, but the henchmen run AI. Whereas in Baldur's Gate, you have to control the entire party. It's a lot more tactical, a lot more involved.
Yeah. That very true on the tactical and involved aspect. But when you mentioned henchmen and they just kind of hang around, I just laughed at the Deacon stuff and the crazy things that he would do.
Yeah, they're definitely a lot of fun. And it's one of those things as well with the expansion packs. It was again us kind of learning the craft and learning how to do it. I'm really proud of Hordes of the Underdark. I think we definitely hit what I wanted to do with Neverwinter Nights in that expansion.
Nice. So here's a question: Nira or Delina? I don't know what the context around that is, but let's just say who would win in a fight?
I see Nira, Wild Mage. You can never predict what the heck is going to happen. And it's always fun to play her because you kind of court that. You're like, let's Wild Surge it and see what happens. Oh, that was bad.
It's really what the one eye squint click. It's like, let's see.
Save game. Phil calls that save scumming, where you basically save the game and then you reload it until you get a desirable outcome. I may have done that once or twice.
Yeah, maybe. That was standard practice. Yep. It's funny because when you say that, I got a NES Classic last night, and my daughter and I were playing. My daughter's 5, and and so she wanted to save her game, and I'm like, no, that's not how these work. You finish, you get a code, you type the code in afterwards. She couldn't understand. She's like, no, just save. We'll play in the morning. No.
You can't. Actually, what you do is you leave it on overnight.
Exactly.
And then you just wake back up. You hope that your mom doesn't bump it or turn it off or anything.
Which she always did.
She always did. She's
no.
Like, I needed the vacuum, so I just unplugged it. And you're like, no, Mom, what have you done?
I lost all weekend's worth of...
I had almost finished Ninja Gaiden. Which was the most horrible game ever.
Yeah.
That was so hard. So hard.
It's all right. I played a little bit of Kid Icarus last night, and that is just as hard as I remembered it. It's like, God damn it.
Some games, man, like MDK2 by BioWare, it got balanced by the QA team, and the QA team, because they constantly play the game, got really, really good at it. There was one section with the original launch on Dreamcast where you were flying with a jetpack with Max the dog, and you had to do it perfectly, just perfect, or you failed. And if you failed, you had to go way, way back and just do it again from the same spot.
Oof.
I've only broken one controller in my life, and it is on the Dreamcast, and it's because of that game.
That's surprising, knowing knowing how your arm is like the size of me, that you've only ever broken one controller.
I'm playing a game, I usually get a little upset, I'll set the controller down, and then fine. I'll walk away and I'll come back again. But MDK2, I was trying and failing, and trying and failing, and snap! I'm just gonna hide that.
Yeah.
And they had the VMU in him, which was kind of like the little memory unit, and it shot out across the space. So it was in the BioWare lunchroom, and I was like, I am a bad person.
Just put it underneath a chair. Like, I don't know how it happened.
Or somebody must have sat on it.
Let's see what else we got. Oh, this is an interesting question. Which of, I guess this is for both of us, which is your favorite non-Beamdog, non-code name D&D digital game ever?
Whoa. I really liked Curse of the Azure Bonds. I liked it because there was this crazy tactical fights, and then you got Cleave, and you'd be surrounded by orcs, and then you could actually take out like 8 of them at a time. Cleave was so good. It made the hour-long fight only a 40-minute-long fight. I was also a big Eye of the Beholder fan. I used to sit there with my friend, and we used to kind of hot seat play it. He would play, and I would kind of read and tell him what to do, and then I would play, and he would kind of read the stuff and tell me his thoughts on what to do, and it was a lot of fun.
So for me, I have 2 answers, and it's tough to separate them. So and I'm blanking on the name, but the D&D arcade game.
Okay,
was it
Champion Mistra?
Mistra or Mistara?
Yeah.
Yeah. We had a cabinet in the wizard's office. And
nice.
So whenever my daughter would come by the office, we'd pull a chair up and she'd be able to play. And that was both her first D&D experience and her first arcade game experience. And of course, someone had wired it so you could just press the red button and get more coins in there. So we spent quite a bit of time on that.
That's awesome.
And the other one is Sword Coast Legends, one of our more recent releases that isn't available anymore. But I worked really closely with the team at Endspace. I really liked what they were trying to accomplish, and after many playthroughs of that game, I can still picture those storylines and processes running through.
It's kind of funny being involved in making the sausage. It kind of, in some ways, it really helps your enjoyment, and in other ways, it kills it.
Yeah, and in most ways, it's a balance. You know, you're riding that tightrope. I feel that way about any sort of game I design or work on. It's, you see all the warts, but you also see those moments that you were trying to make land, and they land, and they're awesome.
Yep. I always joke about that. It's the crack cocaine of game development, is that you get to come up with this idea, and then you get skilled people involved, and because they're so skilled, it actually just gets better. So you've got this thing in your head, you're like, oh, we'll do the thing, and you talk to somebody, and you get them excited, and then they go off, and they bring it back, and it's 20 times better than what was in your head, and you're like, that's exactly what I was thinking. It's so awesome to have that. But at the same time, there's kind of the curse of game development, which is you finally get the game you've always wanted, but you've built it, and you've dealt with it for so long as a bug-riddled pile of junk that you can't enjoy it in the way that you could if somebody else made it.
No, it's true, and that's why that's
the reason Icewind Dale was so loved at the BioWare offices, because it was the tactical depth of the Baldur's Gate Infinity engine with a story we didn't know how it ended.
And that's part of the reason why I think it's great that the D&D digital is expanding, and there's so many more of us working on games and creating new avenues for players to enjoy the brand. It allows us as developers to kind of step away from the game we're entrenched with and kind of get a fresh look at different approaches.
Well, and get to see how other people are doing their take on it, and see what community kind of forms around it. It really kind of helps you figure out what's resonating with people and what isn't, and it's interesting in that respect.
So let's see. Mortend said, "Thanks for your replies. I think I would also go for the Eyes of the Beholder." So they agree with you.
It was fun. It was a stepper, man. Back in the day, step, and equipping items and rings. It was just it was entertaining.
So I'm sure that you've answered this before, but I always think it's interesting to hear. What was your first experience with D&D?
I had a friend whose name was Robert Henley, and he was we were probably like 11 or 12, and he came back, and he had moved away, and he came back to visit over the summer, and he started telling me about D&D, and I was like, man, this sounds like the most amazing thing ever. And he's like, yeah, we're gonna play. And we didn't have any dice. All we had was like we rated a Yahtzee game, and a bunch of 6-siders, and we're just making stuff up and just rolling dice, and we barely have character sheets thrown together, but it just felt like the most amazing thing ever. It was like, this is awesome. And then when Robert went home, we hit up the local hobby shop, and we bought a basic set, the old red box.
Was that with the color dye, with the dye you colored in with the wax crayon?
Yep. The little white wax crayon that came with it, and you colored her in. It was pretty sweet.
Good times, good times.
Yeah, and then we got the expert set, and then the advanced set, and then second ed came out, getting the big old hard covers.
Downhill from there, man. You're hooked. Man.
So much money.
Yeah. But I think that's one of the best parts of D&D is like the books are there to guide you, the games are there to inspire you, but in the end, it's whatever your group's doing around the table. Like that's D&D. Like it might not be the same kind of D&D to someone else, but if you're enjoying it, if you're immersed in this world, if you're taking a respite from the craziness of our world, that's D&D.
And for me, it was like every time a new book came out, I would just obsess about it. It's like Fiend Folio, the Githyanki, Silver Sword. That's awesome. Deities and demigods. I'm like, ooh, I want to kill that god so I can steal his thing. It was pretty ridiculous.
That's awesome. So as we get to the end of the time, I know I've been kind of throwing questions at you. Do you have anything that you want to point out about Deacon, about Beamdog, about the stuff you got going on? We're looking forward to the future. We're rolling stuff forward, and if people want to get involved and fire up Neverwinter, the tool set takes a bit of time to learn it, but it allows you to build kind of the adventures you've always dreamed of playing, and you can find your own little community and play the kind of game that you want, and it can be completely different than what other people want to play. As well, you can find these persistent worlds where they have teams of live DMs, sometimes 4 or 5 DMs live all at the same time, running people through the adventure to make it amazing. So if you get a chance, get out there, take a look at Neverwinter Nights, give it a shot. And if you really like tactics and kind of controlling a party, I totally encourage you to take a look at our stuff. Baldur's Gate 2, Icewind Dale, Planescape Torment, Siege of Dragonspear. They're all deep 2nd edition D&D tactical games, whereas Neverwinter is 3rd edition. So that brings to mind a good point. Have we, since we put out Deacon and we're hitting Neverwinter Nights pretty heavy, I don't know that we've given away any Neverwinter Nights codes to get some of our players started in Neverwinter. Do you think you guys could send us some codes? Maybe we'll do a Twitter giveaway this afternoon?
We should totally figure that out.
All right.
I'll go poke the Hand of Dan. Hand of Dan, conjure some magic codes.
Yeah, and for those that are watching, follow us on Twitter this afternoon. If we're able to get the codes, we'll do a couple of giveaways this afternoon.
I will do everything I can to make the Hand of Dan push the buttons that make the codes.
Something tells me you can do that.
I have that power.
All right, well, that's awesome. Well, I'm going to let you get back to that and, go get the codes for our fans and, go back to being a CEO.
That is a noble quest.
But thank you so much for hanging out with us for a little while and talking about Deacon and Beamdog and all things D&D.
That was a great time. Thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care, man.
All right, you too. Let's see. Now let's see if I can move things around without breaking them. Hey, look at that. We're back on Party Crashers. I got my name right. I got the streaming code up. See, Dylan, he was worried about nothing. How's everyone doing? Everyone having fun? Thanks for sticking around with for the chat with Trent. Looks like we got whoa, goodness. We got a lot of questions queued up. Thank you, Erica, for keeping track of the chat while I was talking to Trent so we can get all these questions queued up. So right now I'm going through Party Crashers on free play mode. I need a little bit more favor. I've been playing in the background, but not as much as I probably should have. But I do have some Deacon chests, so maybe I should open some of those and see what we got. So like I said, one of the cool things about working on the equipment for Deacon was that we could take all those cool Deacon throwback quotes and throw them into the equipment. Unfortunately, because a lot of these are going to be duplicates, I'm not going to be able to read the cool quotes. Oh. Here, let's go check it out. And some of you noticed I'm pretty decked out with gear. I play pretty often. Also, before I came here, I was buying all the golden epics because you need them. Well, you don't need them, but I need them because I have a problem. Deacon pretends not to notice that the boss's clothes have not been washed lately when he has the boss's vest, which is hilarious because, well, hilarious to me. It might not be to you, but that's one of the quotes from Neverwinter Nights. And it was funny because we have to create 3 or 4 different versions of the equipment, and so tying the name of the item to what flavor text we were going to use is one of the more fun parts from my end in terms of designing a new character, because there's only so much flavor we can get across in some of the formation abilities and specializations, because a lot of the flavor gets lost for mechanical notes, because we all need to know how it works and there's only a finite amount of space. So a lot of the flavor and the story of the character comes across, at least for me, in the equipment icons and or the equipment flavor text. So it was fun to throw some of there. Deacon might have shiny bracers, but Deacon still got bad back. And there's the epic story that Trent was talking about. Well, let's see. Let's jump into some of these questions. Let's see. Do I think Brunor and Deacon will be affected after this upcoming balance update? To that answer, I have to say maybe. I think when we look at a balance update, when Justin and David and I and whoever else is on the group is going to be joining us, probably Dylan, because he is immersed even deeper than I am in the game. When we look at a balance update, one of the most important things that we're going to want to make sure that we do is we make sure that while we make the not so great characters better, we don't make the characters that you love worse unless there's a specific reason why. The last thing we want to do is have you come in and be really disappointed about an update. We work really hard with our weekly updates to sort of surprise and delight, to bring new stuff out all the time, and to really get players that are engaged in the game, engaged in the story, engaged in our characters, excited. We work really hard to preview the new champions in a way that get people hyped up for it. We try to introduce you to Deacon ahead of time, have opportunities for you to learn a little bit more about him. And we're going to continue doing that with our new characters. I mentioned in the community Q&A yesterday that we've actually got 3 new champions in active development, which might be one of our busiest champion windows, save for the first couple of champions when we were designing 12 at once, which I wasn't even here for that, but I know from seeing their emails that it was crunch time on champions. But we've got 3 exciting champions coming up. I think you guys are really going to like them. Let's see. Imoen for idle champions win. That is a good question. Unfortunately, because Justin would come in here and tackle me, and then we'd fall over and we'd have to be fighting off screen, and that wouldn't be any fun. I can't talk about upcoming champions. So we have a plan, and part of my role here is to help to work out that plan between design needs, marketing needs, availability of characters, knowledge of lore characters, and how we can help to work that knowledge into the story. And so we've got the rest of what we call year 1 mapped out, which goes up until September when we launched. We launched on September 6th or September 7th of last year. So for year 1, we're talking about the year of the game. So we've got all our champions lined up for the rest of year 1, which I think is gonna include 4 more. I might have that number wrong, but Imoen, the cartoon characters, the characters from the Dragonlance novels, the other characters from Minsk's Band from the comic book, the other characters from Baldur's Gate. Those are all in discussions often, and the trick is finding the right cadence for them, finding the right introductory points for them, and making sure that you guys will enjoy them, because we can put out the most interesting, well-designed character that we can, and if it doesn't resonate with you guys, if you guys don't think that having a kobold in your party is cool, then it doesn't really solve or help all that work we put into it. But we're excited about the reception for Deacon and how folks are playing him. He's a fun little guy. And it's nice to get that chatty Bruno out of the way. He's been front and center too long. Will Deacon be fixable so one doesn't have to change from Bruno eventually? Oh, there's Justin, and doing a dance, like you do. Will Deacon be fixable so one doesn't have to change from Bruno eventually? I don't know what you mean by fixable, because I think Bruno is always going to be... Okay, so let me approach it from this direction. I would like if when you swapped for Deacon right away, Deacon was there. As part of that, I don't know how difficult this is. If Deacon's a part of your formation when you finish an adventure, having him there when you start the adventure, I think is a place that I would like to get to eventually. Whether or not that is on the roadmap or is that's the plan is still to be decided. We tend to watch fan reaction to new characters, take down fixed problems if they pop up right away, but then wait a little while to do the postmortem. We don't want to make too many knee-jerk reactions, but I think definitely the progression from Bruno to Deacon needs to be fixed a little bit. So either Deacon is auto-unlocked, or when you swap to Deacon right away, he pops right up. Just because I don't want to have to click and stuff. But yeah, I think that's definitely something that's on the agenda to look at soon, TM. Has the memory bug been identified yet? If you run the game for any significant length of time, the process will eat progressively massive amounts of memory. I thought that most of that had been mitigated. I know that a while ago that was a pretty challenging issue, and Eric's sneaking in. I think you can come join me, or... Oh. Okay, cool, I can do that. We'll get to that. Where was I? The memory bug. I think it was much worse before. If it is still happening, please open tickets. I am unaware of if there's an active memory bug issue that we are aware of and haven't fixed yet. So if you have a problem, if you have crash logs, open a ticket, let us know. The more detail we have, the better. And the more tickets we get about an issue, the more we realize that it is an issue. Many of us play on a daily basis, so when there's issues, we're able to flag it and fix it right away. But otherwise, unless someone's talking on it in Discord, mentions it in this in the stream, or makes tickets, we don't know about it because we're not running the game on every single machine. We've only got a small crew, so we try to do QA, we try to test everything. But there's going to be bugs that sneak through. So if there is a memory bug, I'm unaware if we are actively working on it, but if you are encountering a memory bug, make a ticket, bother Dave, and then Dave will fix it. If you don't have 3 familiars picking up loot like Chris does, when you move to the next zone, it always leaves 3 or more pieces of gold on the ground when you get picked up, which get picked up when you arrive in the next zone. This offends my OCD. Are you aware of such intending to fix this? I gotta tell you, that affected my OCD first as well. And in fact, we're gonna replicate it. Bye, Chewinga. So we'll get rid of the pixie too. Just to illustrate. So to me, and I have no knowledge of this, again, being new to the team and dealing with a lot of other fires, I have always read that as a way to actively engage you in the game. There's always something to grab. So those last few coins that were there was always something for you to do when you get to the next level. Look, there they are, right there. And so I would always just go and grab them right away and kind of be prepared. And so I thought it was more of player pathing issue and just getting players engaged, because it's easy to just have it in the background and close it, and we all do it. But then if you are actively engaged with it, and your guys are clearing through stuff like mine are, grabbing coins is something that you're actively doing. So having those few coins laid out after the fact is an opportunity to just have something to do. There they are. I did it. Achieved my goal. But I don't think that's a bug. I think it was an intended thing, but I think it's more of a Justin question. In regards to why either the familiars are taking care of it for you or why it was there in the first place. Let's see. Magenta Shirt says, we get Imoen. That's great. Can we also get Nordum the Modron from Planescape Torment? We all know that we already got Modrons in the game. That's true. We do have Modrons in the game. We had the Great Modron March. Nordum the Modron from Planescape Torment. All I remember from Planescape Torment is Mort, and I want to get Mort, but I'm working on that. But Nordum the Modron, I'll add it on the list. I do have to say that Deacon, our newest champion, was born of the fans' insistence. So when I came in and I talked around the groups and trying to flesh out what our last year of champions is going to be, we often talked about the champions that people are talking about in the chat, and that's actually Dylan was a huge advocate for Deacon, because I'm sure you guys have been bugging him about Deacon for so long. So every time I opened up that forum, he was behind me going, hey, Deacon. So I can tell you that Deacon is all about you guys, and our response to hearing that there was that vocal group behind Deacon, and now he's in the game singing of Doom. So there's always a chance, but I don't have any specific news on Nordum the Modron from Planescape Torment, nor do I have any news on the damaged Modron from the Great Modron March, because I know he was near and dear to a few people's hearts, and we've heard a couple of requests for him. I might have written a line of dialogue for him recently for an event, but in terms of having him as a champion, I don't know. Serious Sword Coast question. If Edwin, Odesseron, and Deacon are in the same party, does a perpetual Doom Vortex forms? My answer to that is, I don't know. Let's find out. Let's see what happens. Let's see. Would it be technically possible for us to select no equipment on a hero so we can do an easier formation combination brainstorming? Easier formation combination brainstorming. I don't know what you'd gain from that, because the moment you put on more equipment, because you're going to want to increase the efficiency of the hero, anything that you learned from that would be lost. It's an interesting question. And your name is Nisaltko? Feel free to respond in chat and let me know what you think you're gaining from that, because like I said, we listen to the fans, and you guys are playing the game as often, if not more, than we are. So if you're seeing a reason for getting more information in a certain way, let us know, explain why, and we'll take it under advisement. Why is my... Yep. Okay, Anathelizar. Why is my gold boost so lousy? Why is your name difficult to pronounce? I don't know why my gold boost is lousy. I haven't juiced my account or anything. My gold boost is exactly how it should be for a player that plays exactly as much as I do. And plus, I've only played a little bit of Deacon. I unlocked him. Quit it. I unlocked him. I played through the first variant this morning, but I haven't played through the other two. So the reason why my gold boost is lousy is because I was camping outside for 4 days this past weekend, so I haven't gotten nearly as much Deacon grinding as I should have. Is there some way to see the current time in a run without completing the adventure? Maybe. I could see that as an add-on right here. Ooh, wow, that works if I mouse over here. That's pretty cool. I could see that as an add-on to the complete adventure area. One thing that we're looking at in terms of quality of life improvements, I think some of you have noticed that now the time gate dialogue up here tells you how many pieces you have, so you don't have to click through and see this. Is trying to make sure we give you the information that you need. but also don't overload you or new players with information. So hiding information in dialogues down here I think is a great idea. Putting something about a run up here is potentially detrimental, because I think we've all played those mobile games where you load it up and it's like side thing here, also bonus here, something over here, and also you didn't want to see the screen, we've got this pop-up right here. And that is just, excuse me, a huge barrier to entry, and so we want to try and minimize that wherever possible. So where we can nestle the information that you need in a way that's understandable for newer players, we will definitely do that. And we could add the time that you've played on the current adventure onto here, but again, I'm not sure what that gains besides just a answering the question of how long have I been playing on this run. For me, when I look at completing an adventure, I'd look at what are the rewards, did I get the rewards, and what is my favor boost. You know, if I'm still at below 1%, I know that I haven't hit my wall, so I got to keep going. But I'm not sure if showing the time on the current adventure would be interesting or helpful, or just depressing that it's been 2 days and I haven't hit my wall yet or anything. Let's see. Have I tried putting a familiar on click damage so it auto-clicks that for you? I have not. But I kind of don't want to waste the gold. My fourth familiar, I normally put here, and he trolls around and presses ultimates for me. I haven't put him on click damage, just because I don't normally like to do click damage. I let my champions take care of it. They're the champions. I'm just the guy pressing the buttons. More important question, Beat Crushers. Can you tell us something embarrassing about Dylan? Guys, I've only been in this job for like a month and a half. Maybe I don't want to start talking crap about my coworkers on the stream. Having said that, let me think. Let's see, something embarrassing about Dylan. I don't have anything really embarrassing. Everyone here is super professional. Yeah, I don't have anything embarrassing about Dylan. Sorry, Beat Crushers. You have to wait. Next, in 2 weeks, when Dylan comes back, ask him about what his most embarrassing tics are, and he'll probably have an answer for you, because I think we all do, don't we? Where it's like, oh, what is most embarrassing about me? Yeah, I can answer that question, but you know, what is most embarrassing about other people? I don't really like to go down those roads. That just leads to animosity. Could there be a setting that... Ooh, hang on, charismatic. Could there be... Erica is fixing my questions, but then moving them at the same time. Could there be a setting that sets flickering separate from the rest of the extended display effects? I think absolutely. Interesting. So I think this is here just to try and keep people that get motion sickness or have are seizure prone, just to you know, make sure that they're having as enjoyable as an experience as possible. If we were to create checkboxes for every single one of these, I think that would potentially be problematic just from an overload standpoint. But we'll keep that under advisement. Let's see. Where am I? Okay. Nope, that one's cleared. Why is the ramp up in cost between champions so significant? For a new player with lower gold fine, it takes a long time to see any new heroes. And I think, so I think there's sort of two answers to that. And I'm speaking completely out of my own realm, because this is more of a Justin question, but I'm going to answer it from a general design question and just assume that was what Justin was thinking. So if you're playing the first game and you get to Archon on the first game, that's interesting, that's exciting, but what's new going forward? One of the interesting things for me when I was first playing the game was I didn't get to all the champions every time, and pathing players and getting them to understand that resetting is, one, not scary, and two, is super helpful, is important. And if we got to all the champions right on the first bout, no, that doesn't work over there. Some of the things works with my mouse over XSplit, but not all of them. So if we unlocked all the champions right off the bat, it would not prompt you to reset to get further, and it wouldn't give a carrot to keep playing. at least in that first couple of games, getting you through the player loop, getting you to understand all the things that you're doing. If it was just, you know, all 4 of them are available from the start, and after a couple of levels you get a couple more, you get the whole bar. 1, that's a lot of info to throw at a lot of players at once, and 2, you wanna elevate yourself. You want to get to that level where you finally get to unlock Arcan, and then you finally get to the specialization choices on Jamila. Like those sort of incremental. Ooh, I got a note. Join me for the remainder of the Idle Champion stream. You get to... It's about gating... Not gating access, but gating those exciting moments. If you front load all those exciting moments and then it gets repetitive, it's no fun. But the first couple of times, if you're only getting up to Minsk and you reset and suddenly you get to Delina or Hitch, pro tip, if you don't have Hitch, sign up for the newsletter so you can get Hitch. You know, there's that learning curve and sort of that lower entry into the game that helps to teach you about the game as you go. So that's why I think the cost changes, and then at least from an initial design standpoint. Eventually, the cost changes because we're giving you a ton of gold, and that gold is just going to go up every time you play. So now you'll get to Grand Tour Adventure, and it opens the first 6 with the first bad guy drop that you get gold from, and that wouldn't be possible if you were able to open all 6 immediately on the first run. So it's about player pathing. It's about not overloading players with too much information, and then in the end, it's about getting to that point. It's kind of like a legacy game in that standpoint, where we know you want to get there. We know you want to get to the point where you can kill the first wave of monsters and set up your formation and push 100 levels. But we don't want you to do that right off the bat, because you're not learning about the game at that point. By the time you get to the point where you're ready to let it go for 50 levels and come back, you know what you're doing, and hopefully you're enjoying the game, and you're setting things up, and there's sort of that lower level of management that you need. That was a long-winded answer, wasn't it? Let's see. I'm gonna unbold these, and I can't unbold them. Okay, whatever. Oh, geez, I did something bad. I clicked things. Will the champion rebalance include an item rebalance? That is an interesting question. To that, I will answer maybe. If we do item rebalancing, we're going to be very careful. We don't want to, you know, we might see a piece of item as not being very effective, but if that's your champion and that's your playstyle and you're super excited about that and we take that away, that's not a great feeling. And so we're going to try and minimize those feel bad moments. Everything that we do in this game is about getting you excited to continue to play. And if our balance nerfs all your favorite characters, or with no reason, or takes away some of the cool items that you had, changes that golden epic that you chased, like, we need to be really careful about that, and we're going to be. So it may affect some items, but I don't know for sure. We haven't really dove into that discussion. We've had a lot of high-level talks about it, but we haven't dove into the nitty-gritty. And once we do dive into the nitty-gritty, there's going to be a lot of testing that comes along with it. So we're probably gonna poll the big community drivers and talk to people and try and figure out the best way to do this, because you want to do those rebalancing updates rarely. I mean, you can see when we put a champion out that's either underpowered or overpowered, we don't want to tweak them on a Thursday and then tweak them again on a Tuesday. We want to make sure, if we need to tweak them, that we do it once and we do it right, because we don't want you to have to come in every game and see what we've changed and see how that changes your formation every single week. Will there be more way to buy boxes for specific champions? I'm assuming by boxes you mean chests, and TBD. We opened up time gates 2 weeks ago. The next time gate is opening in 7 days, so we've got about a week to go till the next time gate, and that allows people to either get champions that they don't have or gear up champions that they do have outside of weekend events. In terms of other opportunities to do that, I think that's something that's definitely on the horizon, but I don't have any specific announcements for that yet, so soon, TM. I'm going to be really weird and ask if anyone in the office that's listening to the stream wants to get me a cup of water or a cup of coffee, because I'm bone dry. Ooh, and it's a green inside. Look, good song. Alright, I'm going to stop messing with the green screen. I find Calliope's loot cord drives me slowly insane. Tell me how you really feel. I don't want to turn off all the sounds, but that one sound effect repeatedly, infinitely just starts making your ears bleed after a couple hours. You should get that checked out. Perhaps we could have multiple sounds for her, or just turn off the single character sound. We will definitely take that under advisement. I don't normally play with sound, and we have data that shows that not a lot of players do play with sound. Sound has... Ooh, I got a gold chest from that boss. Exciting. Sounds sort of a low priority for us, but if you're playing with sound and you're loving it and that chord is just driving you nuts, we can definitely look into it. I do have to say, the other day I turned the sound on and I thought I had like YouTube or something up in the background because I couldn't figure out where that sound was coming from. I eventually took the champions out of the formation one by one till I figured out that it was Calliope's loot. And you know, with Deacon in the formation and Birdsong. Where's Birdsong? I should have Birdsong in here. Why isn't chat yelling at me about my formation? Hey. Aw, thanks, buddy. Look, people are listening. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate it. Sorry, I'm getting parched and I'm going to start coughing soon. All right. Let's see. Is there any thought to reworking how gold chests work and only drop gear for core champions? Will each new character introduction... With each new character introduction, I seem to be replacing more of my party with event characters, which devalues gold chests. Great question, Lisa. I don't know. We have a lot of discussions on the horizon. We have tanking and healing, the rebalancing, any updates to the store. We have the anniversary celebration. We have event silver chests being dropped by event bosses. There's a lot of things in discussion, and looking at them all holistically, getting feedback like that definitely helps. The good thing about having the gold chests only tied to core champions is that they're at least leveling up the core champions gear, which can help to balance things out if you're finding that the core champion is lagging behind an event champion. Also, as we release more evergreen characters, those event champion chests those gold chests are going to be more valuable, because you know, you might need to get some equipment on a character that you can't get from an event chest, which, you know, can happen with a new evergreen champion. Let's see. Moose Changer Pat. As one of the many people who did ask for Deacon more than once, I'm extremely grateful that you guys did create him. You have my gratitude. Thank you, Moose Changer Pat. You can definitely thank Dylan when he returns. Like I said, he was the big advocate for Deacon in the office, because of people like you that were continuing to ask about it. So if you've got a core champion that you're just really excited to see in the game, keep talking to us about it. Let's see. I'm going to murder that name, so I'm not going to try and say it again. Does equipment for Dritz drop in normal gold chests, or do I have to wait for a time gate to gear him up? And is he preferable to Makos? So Dritz's equipment, once you unlock him, drop from gold chests. We have two different types of champions. We have event champions like Deacon that show up on an event and are available for a limited time. And then we have evergreen champions. And I should say we have an evergreen champion at the moment, and that's Dritz. Dritz is unlocked through a variant of a Grand Tour adventure. And once you unlock Dritz, then his equipment is added to the gold chest pool. Same thing with Hitch, actually, so I guess we have two. And as we put out more event champions, now that we're a year in and we've got a lot of storylines and characters that we can expand upon, as we open up more evergreen champions, the pool of cards that are available in gold chests will increase. But yeah, Dritz's equipment comes from gold chests, not event chests. And in order to unlock him, you get him through a variant. And I'm going to totally derail any progress we have, and I'm going to find that variant. Here we go. It's underneath cartography, And it is the... Is it the Overdue Rendezvous one? No, that one's that one. It's got to be Durable Deep. Nope, it's Overdue Rendezvous. Once you beat Overdue Rendezvous, you get to unlock Dritz. So he is a variant of Underdeep Cartography. And other Evergreen champions will probably be opened up through event variants or adventure variants. Words are hard. So I guess we're out of questions. That's the end of the stream, right? All right. So where are we on our free play? Let's see. Got the formation set up. Probably replace Stokey in a minute. Oh yeah, Birdsong's not in there. Let's get that Troubadour troop going. Oh no, she is. She's right there. I gotta level up Deacon so I can get to Troubadour troop. Oh, I need more gold. All right, need more gold. We'll open up some silver chests. Boop, boop, boop. I'm gonna go completely quiet while I'm playing my game now. No one gets to talk to me. Let's see. Come on, Deacon. There we go. Got the Song of Doom. So I'm curious to hear. I'm gonna pull up the chat for a second. What do you guys think of Deacon? What do you guys think of the sort of balancing the Story of Doom stacks to increase spawn speed versus expanding it to give you DPS? I got to tell you, I had a really cool moment in the game earlier today where I was playing and I came up against a boss that was tough, and I was watching the Doom meter increase, and once it got max, we were really starting to cleave through them, so it was really cool. It definitely sung to me as a Doom song for Deacon. Let's see, he rocks. Deacon is awesome. He's awesome. I love everything about Deacon's balance. Awesome. So no changes. Awesome. That's great. Increased speed doesn't work if mobs are on the field. Other than that, it's great. Thank you, Silisa. We did take that note yesterday from the chat under advisement, and we're looking at it just to make sure that it's not a bug. I haven't heard back from Justin, though, so he might be yelling at me that it's either fixed or it's not a bug or something, but I can't hear him because I've got headphones on. Why do Deacon's ultimates come so much later? That's a really great question, and a question for Justin, because he put those in. But, yeah, I don't have a real answer for that. I wish Song of Doom came out earlier, but it's all about... with characters, especially characters with multiple formation abilities that I've learned as we start to build these out. Multiple formation abilities, it's really important to space them out, space them in the right order, and then make sure that you're also giving those regular damage boosts and global damage boosts and everything else done incrementally, so you don't see a huge drop-off in global DPS as you're trying to get to those unlocks. And, you know, with any character, Deacon specifically, you want to unlock everything all at once. And if we did that, if we had everything unlocked by level 100, everything for level 390 up would just be no specializations or anything like that. And I don't know, it's kind of boring. But I do wish I could get to the Story of Doom a little bit earlier. And I wish I was at a level in which I could use it, because I can't use it right now because I'm plowing through bosses, increasing my spawn speed. Let's see. We already have 18 champions getting drunk while the other 10 do the work. When are we giving them something to do? That's a great question. I don't know that they're getting drunk. I feel like they're sleeping because they go on adventures like all the freaking time. They don't get a day off. I mean, I love that the recurring joke in our events are, yay, it's a holiday, let's take a day off. Oh no, Boar's in the way, let's go get them. But something for benched champions to do. That is an interesting proposal. There's a lot of different ways we can go about it, and I think that's something that year 2 we definitely would want to tackle, because as we expand the champions, that number of champions sitting on the sideline, napping, getting drunk, laughing at the guys that are up front doing all the work, that's going to grow, and that's great. We're going to have a lot more options for you to choose from. You'll be able to build out your all-human party, your all-Cobalt party, your all Force Grey DCA party. Like, you're going to be able to do that, but there's going to be a lot of characters on the sidelines, and finding something for them to do that can be maybe an alternate play style or something, that's an interesting option. But again, we're going to want to make sure that it is it's gated and it's not crazy confusing for newer players. So we're going to be careful with that. I have a question. How many buff can support a character in a formation? How many buffs can support a character in a formation? I am unsure specifically what you're asking, Preto. Would you mind clarifying that question in the chat? Are you asking if there's a max number of incoming buffs? To which case I do not believe there are, because then the game would have to prioritize one over the other, or if you got a buff incoming from a really high level champion, that wouldn't happen. Now, how many can fit in the little formation thing here? That's another story, and I would say that's probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6. But in terms of incoming buffs, I don't think there's a limit. But if that is not the question you were asking, Preto, feel free to ask it again. Will there be any auxiliary slot for a champion outside of formation? For example, extra buff, Mako's ability, more gold, Stokey, etc. So you're saying like benched passive buffs. I think that's definitely a route we could go with benched champions, but we need to go about it in a way where either it's obfuscated and it's happening and you're getting the benefit and you don't notice, or it's completely understandable and not overwhelming to talk about. So whatever we decide to do for benched champions, we're going to need to make sure that, again, I know I keep, hey Strix, I know we keep hammering this home, but we're going to need to make sure that it's useful, helpful, not only for veteran players, but also for new players. And we can accomplish that sometimes by gating things. We don't throw all the adventures at new players all at once. We make sure that you get through a couple of adventures before you can do something, and that's one of the ways that we can do that. But we want to make sure that we're bringing new players in, as well as keeping our keeping our veterans excited, engaged, and having fun with the game. Because, I mean, that's why we game, right? Game to have fun. So a little while ago, a little birdie called my CEO came in to show me the new Evil at Baldur's Gate comic that just came out, I think, a couple of weeks ago. It's got cool art of the rogue kind of doing a awesome little slide shot, you know, which we all envision we can all do all the time, on top of the other guy throwing a dagger, so that's pretty cool. And it also has in the back, let's see if I can do this, a cool Idle Champions code for 2 gold chests. So if you're at your local comic shop and you happen to see this, you should pick it up, because comics are awesome and supporting your local comic shop is always awesome. And I'm really liking this Evil at Baldur's Gate storyline, because each one focuses on a different hero, as they're all kind of off having their own different adventures. So it's pretty cool. And this is our second comic with a code in it. Issue number 1 also had a code in it, so if you see that, you can pick that up too. And get to read an awesome comic by Zub Cummings and Esquin. I'm really bad at murdering names today. And get some chest codes on top of it, so added value. And I believe some of the Evil at Baldur's Gate comics, maybe not all, but at least the first one, are highlighted in a new D&D Humble Bundle comic collection. And I believe the Humble Bundle is going to be benefiting the Hasbro Children's Fund, which is super duper cool, and a charity that I supported a lot when I was at Hasbro and Wizards. And you should totally check it out. I don't know what the name of it is. It's maybe one of the moderators can post in chat, but it's Humble Bundle D&D comics. I think if you pay $15, you get all the comics, and it's a couple $100 worth of digital DRM free comics, and it benefits Children's Fund, which is always good. Speaking of Children's Fund, we really have to talk about Extra Life soon. 24 hours of gaming, that sounds like fun. Have fast crows been removed? I haven't seen any for a couple of days. Yeah, they flocked to the south. They're done, right? It's wintertime soon? No, I don't think that they have been removed. I'm sorry you haven't seen them. Hopefully they will come back soon. Expectations of a new bard by year's end. I would like an alternate mode of his or her ult to possibly empty his doom stack. Oh, okay, hang on. Expectations of a new bard by year end. Question 1, stop. Note 2, I would like an alternate mode of a Deacon's ult to possibly empty his doom stacks. We could do that. So one, we don't want to really modify characters or change things unless we're upping their level cap and giving them abilities that way. But an alternate mode of Deacon's ultimate that would empty his Doom stack, I don't think that would definitely accomplish what you want it to accomplish, because as soon as if you use it, you're potentially using it at a level where the stacks aren't going low enough. So as soon as you use it and clear it, the stacks are going to start going up again. But that's potentially an opportunity. Maybe there's a design aspect of it that I'm not seeing. But a new bard by year's end. Let me think. There's that one. There's that one. There's that one. I can say there are no new bards before year end of the game, which is September. After that, I don't know. We're just starting to plan those out. But no new bards for the next 4. You've got your 3 for your troubadour troop, and I'm sure there will be more bards. I mean, come on, everyone needs bards, but not before the end of year 1. An all kobold party. You know, I think we're going to be at this for a long time. I'm really excited about this game. I'm excited about the team that we have, and by year 4, sure. I mean, all Aarakocra party. Psh, an all Grung party, bring it on. I'll take an all Kobold party. It'd be the most annoying little party members ever. It'd be great. Thanks for the question, Rylar D. Silisa, and I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. If I'm mispronouncing that, please let me know. But it reads like Silisa. Has there been any discussion of user-chosen gear similar to how a user can choose specialization, i.e. Nayeli might have a choice between HP % gear, currently has all champ % gear in the 2nd slot. Interesting. Equipment that only turns on with certain specializations. That is an interesting concept. I like the way you're thinking, Salisa. No, there hasn't been any discussion on that, but some characters, when you choose a specialization, have boosts that benefit that specialization versus the other specialization that you could have chosen, and that's one way that we've gone about that. There hasn't been talk about adding new gear for champions, so yeah, it's an interesting concept though. We'll keep that in mind. You come up with a really good idea, Silisa. Saltgo. Has there been any conversations about having adventures where you have to commit champions, like you have 2 separate parties at once? We've played around with that a little bit on the variants. We've got stuff like Caddybree alone, where you can only play Caddybree. The Deacon one, where he's stuck in the formation. There's a potential variant coming up where, you know, maybe only 1 slot is open, 1 character slot. Like, that is a way that we can do that. But in terms of having separate adventures or having 2 separate parties at once, no, we haven't had any talks about that, because then you'd have to be technically running 2 different adventures, unless there was just a huge thing with a giant formation that should totally be our epic final battle. But no, we haven't had any specific discussions on that. Any plans to add any of the critical role characters? I can't talk about specifics that we haven't announced. We try to keep our champions under our hat until we tease them out. Partially because we just want to... we're going to do that one. Sorry, I have to level up. Partially because we want to keep players focused. We want to keep players focused on the games that you're playing right now and not really get you too worried about what's coming up in the future. So we try to make sure the hype phase kind of starts the week before and then really hits when the champion comes out, because we want you to focus on what you got now. If we were talking about Critical Role and which champions are coming first or whatever, you know, we'd be talking more about the future of the game than the present of the game, which I think has its place, but not all the time. So I like the fact that we kind of keep our champions under wraps. I'm pretty excited about the next 3 champions that we're working on. I think you're all really going to like them. But I don't have any specific news on what new streamers, what new lore characters we're gonna bring out. I'd like to tell you, I really would, because I got lots of cool stories on them. but that'll have to wait for a few weeks. As a fairly new player, I don't know much about the history of the game development yet. How the heck did it end up with so many bards in the first year group? I mean, don't we all... Didn't any of our games devolve into an all-bard band? Was it just me? Honestly, we've got 30... We did this count the other day, and I was off by a little bit. We've got 28 characters right now. 28 characters, something like 12 core classes. We're gonna get repeats. We've got 2 paladins. We've got 1 monk. We've got 3 bards. We've got a bunch of fighters. Like there's gonna be repeat. And I mean, you know, not everyone needs to be a really cool fighter. Some of us can just be the cool bard singing about Doom and telling everybody how he stinks. So yeah, it wasn't a conscious decision to front load all the bards. Calliope was one of our launch characters with Force Grey. Birdsong came from the Tomb of Annihilation adventure. She was a character that was in miniature form and in the board game, and we wanted to have her in the game, so we brought her in, and she's Bard. And then Deacon. Everybody loves Deacon, and he just happens to be a bard. It wasn't chosen specifically for so many bards in the first year. It just happened to happen. But that also inspired our troubadour troop ability, because Deacon wants to be the greatest of the storytellers. And how else do you get great than by forming a band? What about specialization that is 2 different multi-class options? Example, a fighter who chooses to become a fighter wizard or a fighter rogue. I think that is super duper cool. And not from a multi-class standpoint, but definitely from a regular character standpoint, that's sort of how we envision those specializations. It's like, what do you want to be? What do you want to do here? What's your focus with this character? And that's where that specialization route takes in. But yeah, if we have a character that is just a redonkulous multi-classer and is, you know, 3 or 4 different classes, I think using that specialization to help you make those choices is definitely interesting. Will Binwin become a fighter barbarian? No, at least not right now. But that could be a route that that we potentially take down the road if we increase levels and make more specializations. It's not anything we've talked about. That's just me musing. I'm going to be in so much trouble after this stream because I just kind of talk, and I talk about the things that are in my head, whether or not I've talked with them with the rest of the team. This might be my only stream, but just take everything that I'm saying with a grain of salt. I am new to the team. There are things as a part of the game. I play the game heavily. I played it before I came here. Worked closely with the team through the whole development of the initial game. But there are reasons they don't go certain routes, and I might not be privy to all of them. So a lot of what I'm talking about is sort of where I'd like to go, and that's not understanding all the hurdles or challenges or the fact that they've tried it and it didn't work before. So take everything that I say with a grain of salt, and feel free to continue the hashtag of blame Chris if something that I say can't come to fruition because I didn't know, because everyone around the office uses it. It used to be blame Justin, now it's all blame Chris, and it tends to be Justin that's the first one to throw the hashtag out every single time. I should think about that. Let's see. Show Nation, I started 2 days ago. Welcome, Show Nation. Thanks for coming to play the game with us and listen to the stream. Don't forget, since you just started playing 2 days ago, that there is a lovely streaming code over here, that way. When you put it into the store, you'll get a free Deacon gold chest. And keep coming back every week to the stream, because we've always got a streaming code. And there's normally folks in chat that will keep track of the streaming codes, so that you can continue to get some free gold chests, because we want players to level up their champions and get them all set up. I started 2 days ago. Can I still unlock all champions somehow, or is that impossible? That is absolutely possible, Show Nation. So for those of you that know, I'm sorry, I'm going to talk about it again because I'm really excited about it because it's new. So Show Nation, chat can help to help explain some of this too, but Every 3 weeks or so, we have an event where we have an event champion that's unlocked. Normally, that is the only avenue by which you can get the champion, and if you miss them, you'd have to wait until the event comes back around. So on High Harvesttide this year, High Harvesttide was our first event back in October of last year. When High Harvesttide comes back around, those that missed the awesomeness that is Stokey will be able to get the little gnome monk again. And previously, that was the only way that you could unlock champions. However, we've just introduced a new option, which are called time gates. And every 3 weeks or so, the time gates open. This is Kalar, a chosen of Mystra, and she works with Mystra to open up time gates. And when the time gates open up, you have 3 options. And there's always going to be, if possible, there's always going to be a character you don't have, and there's always going to be a character you do have, and then there's going to be someone else that you do or don't have. And you can choose to go back in time to get one of those characters from one of the past adventures. And the first time you play through the adventure, you'll be able to unlock them and a gold chest, and the second time you'll be able to get another gold chest. If you already have that champion, you'll be able to run 2 runs and get 2 gold chests, 1 from each run. And then you can collect those time gate pieces from boss drops. And once you have 6, you can open a time gate early on your own. So I think for most of us, we're gonna get our first full time gate piece collection after the next time gate opens. So we'll have a natural opening next weekend where we'll all get to go and get another champion or gear up old champions. And then we'll be able to get enough time gate pieces that we can open it whenever we want. We can open it on a Wednesday, and it'll stay open through Saturday. And so you'll get a couple of options, and you can just keep using that feature to keep gearing up old champions. It's something that we've wanted to have in the game for a while, and we pushed really hard to hit our date on it, and everyone on the team worked together, and I'm super excited that it came out and it was so well received by everyone. So those are the options to get new champions. Stick around when the events come around every 3 weeks. The events run for 10 days. And it's normally super easy to unlock the champion, and then you just keep grinding in the event to keep gearing them up. And then you can use time gates to pick up characters you don't have. And I would definitely suggest when you have time gate options, opening up the chat and seeing what people think about those options. You know, maybe you just really want that Tabaxi Bard and it doesn't matter, and you get Birdsong, or you get Krond, or you get Evelyn. Like all of the event champions are in the time gate, but evergreen characters like Dritz or other evergreen characters will not be in the time gates. You'll have to unlock them through the variants. So as you continue to play through the adventures, you'll unlock variants that allow you to get evergreen characters. Let's see. Any hint on a new Dragonborn champions? I have no hints for you on new Dragonborn champions. I will tell you that there are no new Dragonborn champions before year 2. Queen Lily 272. Where did Deacon come from? Well, when 2 kobolds really love each other. Deacon was a character created for Neverwinter Nights. We just talked about it in the first hour with Trent Oster, the CEO of Beamdog. And Deacon was a companion that would come along with you. I'm going to stop spinning my chair, man. Deacon was a character that would be a companion for you in Neverwinter Nights. He'd follow you around, he'd help you in battles, but basically he just really talked a lot. And he talked about all sorts of weird koboldy things, and he's sort of this cult favorite character. So when we do these polls and ask people about what champions they want to see, Deacon was high on the list fairly often because everyone just loved the quirkiness of Deacon, and I think that quirkiness comes out when you look at some of the specifics on his equipment. He's just a awesome little dude, and we're super excited to have him in the game. A corpse asks, so are the pieces timed to allow us to open the next gate? Because at the rate they currently drop, I should have about 6 by the time the next gate arrives. They are not timed specifically to coincide with a gate opening. They are... I don't want to get into the specifics of the timer because Justin can rattle it off, but I can't. But basically, they're a rare drop. They do not... Hang on, I gotta... Come on, Deacon. Come on, Deacon, get there. Oh, no. Oh, Evelyn's down. I'm in trouble. Stupid Zario. They are... Alright, I'm going to lose this, but that's okay. Let's grind back here for a second. They're set to drop, I think, every 3 to 4 days. And the closer you get to the 3 to 4 day timer, the more likely it is to drop. But they are not specifically designed to fill up right before the next time gate. That might happen if you're lucky. I'm sure some of you, I just got my 3rd piece yesterday. Some of you probably have 4, some of you probably have 2. But whether or not you're able to open a time gate before the next one is completely dependent on the random number generator. Now, I will tell you, because we've mentioned it before, but no one has seen it in game, that when you open a time gate, it's open for 72 hours. If you would have the option to open a time gate early when a new time gate is going to be opening within that 72-hour window, Kalar won't let you open it, because what we don't want to do is we don't want you to spend your resources to open a time gate and miss a natural time gate, because natural time gates are free. So we don't want you to spend your resources when you would otherwise be able to open a time gate on your own. Like, we could say, yes, open a time gate, but it'll close early. But if you miss that, it's not really fair. And so if you get your time gate pieces and there's 2 days before the natural time gate, sorry, wait until the natural time gate closes and you'll be able to open it. And in that eventuality, let's say you have 6 time gate pieces and you can't open the gate early because the gate is going to naturally open in a day. Wait till it naturally opens, grind quickly, get your gold chests, close it, and then you'll immediately be able to open a new time gate. So once you close the time gate, the timer goes back to whatever the next day is going to be. So once you close the time gate and you're done with it, you could open another time gate right away. So that's what these pieces are meant to be. They're meant to be, the time gates are opening on their own. They're available for you for free, but maybe you're camping that weekend. Maybe you didn't get a chance to play that weekend. Maybe you opened it but weren't really interested in the character or didn't want to get new chests, whatever. That's what the time gate pieces are for. So that way you can engage with the system however you want, whenever you want. Is the timeline for the time gates that you have 2 weekends of event off week time gate? The timeline is that time gates will open about every 3 weeks. We have the dates scheduled in the database, so that way when you close a time gate, it'll tell you when the next natural opening is. And that is different than what we normally do, because we normally try to keep weekend promos and releases behind the scenes, so that if we slip a day, it's not that big of a deal. But with time gates, because it's an automated system, we can say the next time gate's going to open in 7 days. That's the plan. So that's why we have that timer, because that timer is so important to not allow you to mess up and open a time gate on your own when you would have otherwise gotten one for free. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna read this question and then we'll see what the answer is, because I'm trying to read them ahead so I don't get lost. I find armored bosses confusing because I can't figure out an easy way to see what the minimum damage / hit requirement is. The Discord response was basically count all the bars and then divide it by the health. That's not terribly easy or intuitive. I like the mechanic, but I want a way to see what minimum damage is that I'll be needing. Let's see. That is an interesting bit of feedback. I will take that and pass that on to Justin, because that's really a Justin question. You make a good point. For me, with the armored bosses, because things are happening so quickly and so frenetically in a boss fight, I don't worry about whether Celeste is hitting it for the right damage. What I try to do is I try to make sure that my main DPSers are buffed the way they are, or if I can spread those DPS buffs. I just leveled Stokey and she's not even in the formation. That at least a few of them are hitting and taking down the armor bonuses. But I'll definitely pass that along to Justin and see if there is a more intuitive way to show those thresholds needed to get the armored bosses down. Silisa asks, is Deacon added to Timegate now or after his event concludes? Deacon is prepped for the Timegate. He's in there, but he won't be available until his event closes. So either noon that afternoon or the next day. I'm not sure exactly what the threshold is, but within a very short period of time, Deacon will be available in the Timegates. But, you know, you've got all this free opportunity and free towels to grind Deacon up now. Why waste a time gate on him? An update. Sorry, my question was not clear. Will there be weekends where we have event and time gate? Yes. So we had a weekend. Oh, okay. Will there be an event with a? Will there be a weekend with event and a time gate? No, not currently. We try to focus our messaging. So right now, everything is focused on Deacon. Get Deacon, grind up your favor, transfer that favor into your other deities. The problem with doing other things that we need to message during that is it dilutes the message. Right now, we're all about Deacon. We're all about making sure you gear up Deacon. You're having fun with the Founders Gate Adventure. We spend so much time working on the art, working on the narrative, working on the design and the bugs for the events, that the last thing we want to do is have players not playing in the event. I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine. But we're not going to, at the moment, we're not going to throw more things at you. We'll do things that will help accentuate that event. We'll do weekend promos that'll boost characters that we think might be useful in the event. But we're probably not going to do a time gate window during an event unless something weird and wonky happens and my Excel sheet wasn't correct. So let's see. All right, so we've been grinding a little bit. Let's see if we can get past Zariel. Is Hitch in here? Oh my goodness, there he is. All right, let's see what we can do. So thanks for sticking with me through this whole stream. We're almost done. It's been an interesting 2 hours. I really enjoyed talking with Trent. He's always a good chat, and everyone's been throwing questions at me the whole time, which is great because then I don't need to sit here and kind of like talk weirdly about things. I joined Twitch just for you, Idle Champions crew. Thanks for the cool game. I bought a familiar to support your fun game. Deacon appreciation, I appreciate you. Not specifically because you bought a familiar to support us, but thank you. But you know, coming to Twitch and watching the stream and chatting with us, that's a great way to support us and let us know how you're feeling about the game. We appreciate that. We actually have an area in our Mattermost for come on, you can do it, for positive feedback. So when we get stuff like this, it goes in the positive feedback, because so many times when you work in game development, you throw something out there and the focus is on the bugs, the focus is on what's wrong, and it can be a little disheartening, especially because before it gets out there, we're all focused on the bugs and we're all wondering whether it's going to land. So, you know, kind words go a long way, both in game development and in life. There, the more you know. Let's see. What time is it? It's 2:54. Got a few more questions. Or maybe not. No. We just haven't bolted out. All right, so we got through Zariel. We're doing a free run. I got a 290% increase in my favor, which is pretty cool. What's going to be interesting is where to put this favor this weekend, or next week. Let's see, what do we got in the Twitch chat? So, Insane Joe, can you hold more than 6 Timegate pieces at a time? Yes, there is no cap at the moment. So if you go away and come back and get some Timegate pieces, or you just bank them, you want to bank them and just do a week of Timegate runs, you totally can. There's no cap to Timegate pieces. Observation, runaway bosses don't seem to drop Mako's bonus gold. Is that works as intended? That's a great question. It's tough to read your name because it's green, and apparently I'm colorblind for green. I will look into that. Erica, can you flag that question for runaway bosses don't seem to drop Mako's bonus gold, so we can check to make sure that's not a bug. Again, as a note, feel free to put a ticket in if you think something's bugged. The more detail you can put in on the ticket, the better. And, you know, we appreciate hearing back from players that, you know, something's not working as intended. Don't assume that we missed it. You know, it's probably just a glitch and we haven't had a chance to fix it yet. Can you accrue time gate pieces while offline? Could this be added to the offline gold game fix? The answer is no and maybe. We haven't talked specifically about the offline gold fix, but definitely increasing the celebration from both boss chests and when you come back from being offline is something on my priority list. And I don't know if we're gonna unlock time gate pieces. That's sort of an active play because we're already opening up time gates every 3 weeks, and to collect those time gate pieces, I think it's more of an active play mechanism, but I could be wrong. Let's see. Okay. For what it's worth, thank you for bringing in Deacon. He was my favorite part of Neverwinter. Caldron, you're welcome. So let's see. It's 2:57. I should probably start closing up. Thank you everyone for coming into the chat. Thank you everyone for sending me questions. It's awesome to not have to sit here and think up things to talk about, and instead you just pepper me with questions and I probably say too much. I'm sure I'm gonna get attacked with Nerf darts or something when I get out. So let's see, that is the end of our show for today. Again, thank you so much for watching. It was so much fun to get to interact with everyone. Don't forget, we've got the Steam code for Doom is Coming code. Put that into the store and you'll get a free gold Deacon chest. Just a heads up, you are stuck with me for another week next week. I'm sorry. Dylan is still out. I'll be running the community Q&A on Wednesday, so come visit while I'm enjoying some coffee at my desk and ask some more questions. He's out on his well-earned vacation, so I'll be piloting the stream, and based on the fact that nothing's on fire that I can see, I think it went pretty well. So I'll be back next week, but we're only going to be here for an hour. We're going to start at 1 o'clock Pacific time on Thursday of next week, but at 2 o'clock we're going to actually be sending the D&D stream down to San Diego Comic-Con. The D&D Senior Director Nathan Stewart will be talking to our very own Arcan, Joe Manganiello, and they will be discussing all things San Diego Comic-Con and probably touch on Joe's new line of D&D streetwear called Death Saves. So we'll have our stream for an hour from 1 to 2 next week. I don't think we'll have a special guest, so we'll probably just have Q&A, and also we'll get to talk about our cool new update for next week, which is going to be amazing. And I get to go test in a few minutes. Sorry. Hashtag not sorry. And so yeah, we'll be here for an hour from 1 to 2, and then we'll send it over to San Diego Comic-Con, which I'm sure they'll have some cool news for you from the D&D front, and if not, they'll at least have some cool San Diego Comic-Con stories. I want to thank Trent Oster for joining us on the stream and talk all things Deacon and Beamdog. Shout outs to Pelham, Bart, Greg, and John at Wizards of the Coast for being awesome partners and friends and everything they do to help. And the most important update today goes to Erica, who co-produces the live stream with Dylan, and today me, which basically means holding my hand and making sure I don't break anything. So shout out to Erica for doing awesome behind the scenes work. She deserves all the kudos in the world. Waffle Talk is coming up next at 4 p.m. and then after that is Critical Role. Have a good weekend, everyone. This is their last weekend to grind up Deacon before next week's update. So thanks for coming, thanks for playing, and I will talk to you soon.